Emperor Palpatine was dead. Luke's father, Darth Vader, had seen to that. In the final moments of his life, the most feared Sith Lord in the galaxy redeemed himself and came back to the light, once again embracing his identity as Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. But Vader's death meant that Luke was once again alone, without anyone to guide him in the Force. And what was worse, for some reason, the spectral Force ghosts of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and even his father Anakin refused to appear to him. Without their advice, how would he possibly hope to rebuild the Jedi Order? Especially in the aftermath of the Battle of Endor, Luke found himself particularly distraught. What was going through the new knight's head? What plagued his mind in those very first days after the Emperor and his father were killed? This is today's underrated moment. I mean, sure, the Emperor is dead, but who's going to do all the cleanup? Luke wondered to himself as he stood beneath the towering soul trees before him. Everyone thinks it's so great that we won, but look what we got out of it, a whole galaxy to rebuild. Although Skywalker was working quickly to become a Master Jedi, he still found himself drawn to the same negative thought process that plagued him in his youth. If it weren't for the loving childhood that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru provided for him in their small moisture farm estate not far from Beggar's Canyon, then Luke might have ended up exactly like his father, a terrible dark Jedi. But so far, Luke's pessimism hasn't led him down a darker path towards hate and anger. As Han Solo and Princess Leia ran through a small thicket of bushes behind him, Luke barely noticed as he reached into the Force, trying to sense the spirits of his Jedi Master Obi-Wan and Yoda. If they would appear, if only for a few seconds, then Luke could figure out what he needed to do first. He hadn't the faintest idea how to lead the rebellion or how to rebuild the Jedi, and the pressure was driving him insane. Why did you leave me here? Do you have someplace better to be? Luke shouted as his pessimism turned into annoyance. Leia and Han stopped in their tracks. I better go have a talk with him, Leia realized. The past few months had been tough on all of them. Solo nearly died after the Mandalorian bounty hunter Boba Fett sent his body to Jabba the Hutt to collect on a bounty. And Leia, only a few nights ago, discovered that she was actually the daughter of Darth Vader, the man who was partially responsible for the death of her adoptive parents, Bail and Leia Organa. But there was no doubt that Luke had the worst of it. During his duel with Vader aboard the second Death Star, he had almost succumbed to the dark side, and once he finally managed to reject Emperor Palpatine's seduction, Luke was almost killed when the Sith Lord unleashed a wave of Force lightning on him. In that moment, his father, Darth Vader, saved his life and soon died, moments after the electricity ravaged his life-sustaining black armor. Now Skywalker was alone, defeated, and without anyone to guide him. In years prior, a Jedi in similar situation might have fallen to the dark side. Luke's own father, Anakin, did just that. But Luke had Leia, Han, and the rest of the rebellion leadership to prop him up when he was at his lowest. Who were you talking to just now? Leia asked. No one, Luke replied, but then he felt an urge to tell the truth. In the last few days, ever since we defeated the Emperor, the old Jedi Masters have stopped talking to me. Now I have no idea what to do. Leia and Luke were exactly the same age, but it was hard to see the male Skywalker was anything but a boy. After all, he was barely out of his teens, and all of a sudden he was expected to ignite his green lightsaber like some sort of great knight and save the galaxy. Maybe, Leia said, adding a bit more warmth to her voice, that's because you don't need to be doing anything now. I've been doing something every day for over 5 years, and now I've got to rebuild the Jedi Order all by myself. Luke continued to whine as he childishly kicked a stone on the ground, sending it bouncing toward the base of a soul tree. Leia realized that Luke was falling into his old patterns. The stress of the battle, the death of Vader, all of it was too much for him to handle. And now, just like the boy on Tatooine, he didn't want to spend another season working on his uncle's farm. Luke was reduced to whining and pouting, but Leia understood. Luke could never show his doubts to the other rebellion leaders, let alone the men and women who followed him into battle. And in this moment, now that she knew she was actually his sister, Leia proudly offered an ear to Luke, letting him take a load off. I'm sorry, I haven't been paying so much attention with things going on with, Leia began. With Han? I know, guess things are getting serious. Luke finished her sentence for her. I mean, he's a great guy, but he's... Luke said, but not good enough for your sister. Now Leia was the one finishing his sentences. Luke's mind was racing from negative thought to negative thought, and he was spiraling down. The anxiety of the war, the never-ending battles, and the constant threat of death. Luke was having a hard time adjusting to normal life now that he didn't need to jump into a mission at a moment's notice. Trying to explain all the swirling thoughts in his mind, Luke took a gulp and let it all out. I mean, just a few years ago, I was going to be a hotshot fighter pilot defending the galaxy with a beautiful princess at my side. I just haven't had time to figure out everything about who I am. The Last Jedi? Your brother?
You're not alone, you know.
Leia cut in before Luke had a chance to finish. With her arms wide open, Leia wrapped Luke into a massive embrace, hugging the man who she had only recently discovered was her long-lost brother. They were both young and confused. They were the children of the most vile Sith the galaxy had ever seen, and also the heroes who helped save the Republic. But their jobs weren't finished, and now, in their early 20s, they were forced to figure out what to do. As Leia let go, Luke whispered something into her ear. I know, and hey, maybe you and Han will make some little Jedi for me to train someday. He, of course, was referring to the new Jedi Order, and that caught the attention of a particular Force ghost that actually had been watching the entire time. Master Yoda, who enjoyed every second of frustrating Luke with his Jedi riddles, observed joyously. More than anyone else, Yoda was eager to see the Jedi return to the galaxy, and he knew Luke and Leia were up to the challenge. When we look at Luke during his brief breakdown after the Battle of Endor, you might be tempted to judge him for losing composure. After constructing his green lightsaber in the months prior to his second showdown with Darth Vader, Luke seemed every bit as confident as Obi-Wan had during the height of the Clone Wars, when he was a Jedi Master. But Luke was hardly a master, he was barely even a knight. He wasn't even sure about anything in his life. And this brief window into the dark days following the fall of Palpatine's second Death Star shows the type of anxiety that Luke was forced to overcome, which, of course, he eventually did.